Bună dimineața și bun găsit la BU. Sunt Sabina Iosub și vă invit să rămâneți alături de mine în următoarea jumătate de oră. Sunt câteva chestiuni despre care discutăm astăzi și vă garantez că vă interesează. Today here with me in the European Parliament in Strasbourg is Tsvetelina Penkova. Thank you so much.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
You're representing Bulgaria here at the European level, and you have been focusing for the last 6 months on a piece of legislation very important for us in Romania and Bulgaria, the Net Zero Industry Act. Let's explain a little bit what it's about.
So if we have to explain it in simple and understandable words, it's basically a legislation dedicated towards the industry or the reindustrialization of Europe. So the last 3 years have shown us that we are quite dependent on imports for all from the basic to the most complex technologies from outside of the EU. So what we're trying to do here is to stimulate the production of many of those technologies that would contribute to our green transition, to the production of clean energy, all that to be produced in the EU. The legislation is basically aiming at providing the adequate funding for that to happen, reducing the administrative burdens for the permits for those technologies so they can get it faster, and it does make sense, job creation, and making sure that we are going to reach a competitive level of the EU in general and all of us together. So it's not going to be the case which sometimes happens with those legislation where we're going to see some of the bigger countries or the bigger economies being prioritized. So the big fight here in the parliament was to make sure that all the member states get the equal treatment and the equal opportunities to attract those industries to develop, for instance, in Bulgaria and Romania, not only in Germany or France.
What will be the impact in your country, for example, in my country, in Romania, we are neighbors, we have similar problems, let's say, and similar levels for our citizens?
So the first thing we need to do is the legislation as it stands now, it has a list of technologies. The first thing each one of our countries must do is we have to look at that list of technologies and see which ones are the most suitable for the for what we can offer in terms of qualified labor force, in terms of traditions in some of them. Once we have selected the strategic technologies for Romania and Bulgaria, we have to start developing them. We have to start asking for additional funding from what is available within the EU. We have to start building up the production sites. And you're putting a very interesting question here. We could also cooperate on some of those, because it's not going to be the first time where Bulgaria and Romania are cooperating to achieve something good for the region.
We are also discussing here at the European level about STEP. What is actually the connection between STEP and net zero industry?
Well, STEP was another instrument for two things which would support the Net Zero Industry Act. First of all, for the funding. And second of all, STEP gives the so-called sovereignty seal. So basically it gives a mark that if project is marked with that seal that comes from STEP, it is considered strategic, so it can take advantage of the faster permitting procedures and the additional funding as described in the Net Zero Industry Act. So imagine it like that. You go through the procedure of qualification, you get the stamp from STEP. You can also secure some funding from there, and then once you have the stamp, the steel so-called, you go through the Net Zero Industry Act and you can get all the additional benefits in terms of like faster permitting, additional funding, cooperation with different member states on various projects as well.
It was a discussion about the funding and the link to the cohesion policy, cohesion funds, that is still very important for our countries. What is your opinion about this funding?
Well, on that side, I would like to say congrats to the Romanian socialist colleagues who fought quite hardly for this not to happen, because what we've been observing in the last few years, when there is a crisis, everyone is trying to take the funds or like some additional money we need from the cohesion fund. And of course, Bulgarian and Romanian members of the European Parliament and members of the national parliaments, we should not allow that to ever happen, because you know the importance of those funds for our region. So especially for STEP, because STEP provides additional funding, which has been increased from 10 to 13 billion euros now, which is more than 30% increase, which is a big step for the European Parliament. It's a big step for STEP, but it's a good achievement, very good achievement for the European Parliament. But one of the biggest fights here, and I know that from, as I said, from my Romanian colleagues within the socialist group, they fought really hard, because there was a moment when some other countries were trying to push for the cohesion funds also to be used as the resource for STEP, for the Net Zero Industry Act, which is not acceptable for us, and that's not the case. We're not going to touch the cohesion funds. But that was due to the fight we put it in the Parliament.
I know you've been recently to Romania at the border. What was the motive?
I was in Gheorghe, yes. So I went there with Gheorghe and Ruse. They're like kind of sister cities that's been cooperating for many years for different matters. They, even for the last year, they have a common municipality council meetings to resolve some of the regional problems there, which is quite rare, and you don't see it almost anywhere in Europe. So I was there with the mayor from Ruse, from Bulgaria, to support a civil protest against the construction of incinerator plant, which has a high probability to lead to pollution of the air in the whole region. So this was a civil protest on the Romanian side, and we just joined to support the citizens of Gheorghe and to express the solidarity from the citizens of Ruse as well. But this is not the first time we're working quite well in a good cooperation with you. I just want to remind you the mobility package fight we pulled out all together during the last mandate of the European Parliament. Romanian and Bulgarians there were working quite actively to achieve something. Also now I think the last one of the most important fights we have to keep on working on together is the Schengen exception for both Bulgaria and Romania.
We are trying to win this fight for some years now. What do you consider we should do next in order to achieve this goal?
The Schengen?
Yeah.
We should just stick together and continue. I don't think we should do anything more in terms of achievements, because
we've done a lot.
No, we've done a lot, but that's the wrong direction of thinking about it, because we have fulfilled all the technical criteria. That's everything that's required to join the Schengen area. And we have to keep on insisting on the fact that this is a discrimination towards Bulgarian and Romanian citizens. We have to be very loud and clear on that Austria and the Netherlands, in our case, they're discriminating against our citizens. Of course, the diplomatic channels are something we should still be pushing for, but we should not go into the direction of asking if there are any more conditions we need to fulfill, because that's not the position we should stay strong, insisting that we have fulfilled all the criteria that are necessary, and now we deserve our place in the Schengen area. I think that's the right approach. I'm just saying that because in Bulgaria currently the government is making some interesting claims that we're ready to fulfill additional conditions and criteria, and I genuinely believe this is absolutely the wrong way to go when we're speaking about matters. Let's assess the problem with a bit more self-confidence, because we have achieved everything that needs to be achieved, and we have to be strong. And I think Romanian position is quite voicey, quite strong, and we should follow your example in that matter.
In the end of our discussion, what is your message for the Romanian public?
There are a lot of challenges ahead of us, but if we stay together, if we stay strong, we can do the best for our region. But we need to be united.
Do we understand now how to be united, Bulgarians and Romanians?
I think we have a lot of examples, as I've listed some from the past, so I'm not worried about that. And our region it has a lot to offer in terms of also a qualified specialists, which is something we're lacking in many parts of Europe now. So I think we have the strong bargaining chip, especially when it comes to specialists that are very strong in more technical aspects like engineers, physicians. So those are like the applied sciences, and our region has always been extremely strong, and this is something that Europe is lacking now. So our region has a lot to offer. So I think if we stay strong, and as I said, self-confidence is something we need to be working on a bit more.
Thank you so much. Continuăm discuția noastră. Alături de mine vine în câteva clipe Rovana Plumb.